Okay, hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is A Strategist, and today we will continue with my latest book review series. In today's episode, I will talk about the second book of the Rise of Mankind series by Jez Cajiao. Just a heads up, there will be some minor spoiler in this video, but I will try my best to avoid key moments that are important to the storyline. A little prop to the first book once again, as it ended on a very exciting note. Our main character, Matt, managed to slay a really powerful monster that presented a constant threat to his dungeon, but that came with a price of him getting absolutely wrecked and most of his warband slaughtered. And to add insult to injury, a few unexpected guests arrived at the last minute and they decided to execute some of his loyal servants, while the goblin and kobold tried to drag him to safety. Jet did a really great job here of creating a truly chaotic situation that put the readers on the edge of their seat. We already know that the main character probably gonna be okay because, well, he's the main character and this author is not George R. R. Martin. But throughout the battle, Jess elevated the tiny goblins and kobold from just like regular cannon fodder to somewhat memorable side characters. Seeing them get executed while dragging their masters to safety made my soft heart feel for them a little bit. Throughout the first two books, you will see Nat deal with ethical conundrum about creating and experimenting on creature that he created using the power of the dungeon lore. Personally, I don't think I can do what he did. It would be like torturing an animal. Like, yeah, they are not sentient, but they still feel pain. I think there there was a scene in this book, either this one or the previous one, that Matt did experiment on one of the goblins while the others were close by and they could hear the scream from the failed test subject and they were like shaking and fear for their life, and that was very messed up. Like, they don't fear for their life if Matt told them to go and fight some like fucked up creature that they have no chance of winning, but they still understand that they don't want to get tested on or get tortured by Matt. But this is a grim dark fantasy novel, so this just fit right in with the theme of the book series. The creature created by the dungeon lord are expendable, but Matt doesn't kill them for fun like a sick maniac. They are just like necessary sacrifice so that he can keep his dungeon and friends safe. I understand that, but if you read to 2 to 3 chapter or even like a whole story arc that have a certain creature in there and then it die, you feel a bit sad too. It does not help that the main character keep naming them. This remind me of of an old memory of me playing Pokemon with my brother. My brother like used to tell me like, do not name the Pokemon that we capture while playing because it will be harder to send them away, like send them to the system. I don't know if Jess does this intentionally to make the story more grim dark, or he just think it's funny. Some of the name from the popular cartoon characters. This provides some comedic relief, but with a scenario that our MC usually find himself in, more than 90% of the creature he ever created will die a horrific death. So, word of advice, don't grow too attached to any of them. Like, although I feel pity for the creature, I also find this part in like experimenting and try to power them up from the first to second book very interesting. Like, Matt continuously tried to improve his warband creature from like whether it's from messed up magic experiment or they just naturally evolve and level up from constant battle. It's like a lot of strategy game where you can upgrade your line of unit into a different version with different attribute and skill. This makes the battle aspect of this book series become even more fun to read because reader will get excited on whether or not this low level creature can become something much more. For example, like a scrawny goblin, can he like become a mage, can he become like a soldier, and each evolution path contain like various skill set from passive skill like they run faster and be stronger physically to like magic spell. The main character will get one or two monsters that evolve after several skirmishes or big battle, but the thing is he couldn't maintain them at all, as the battle always become more difficult, which means the chance of casualties increase significantly. You will be surprised at the number of high-level creatures that Matt managed to keep in, and just a spoiler, the number is very small. This motherfucker cannot keep like quality monster alive for long. Okay, now it's officially there will be some spoiler about the nature of one of the main enemies in the book 2. So if you haven't read book 1 yet and you haven't read book 2 yet, please don't, and you don't want me to ruin this surprise, then you should stop watching right now and go read the first 2 books. Okay, so the opening of book 2 continued with the battle between Nat Guaban and several squad of goblins. Like, this critter are a lot more dangerous than the one Matt had access to, and the only reason he didn't die right away was because he has guns and spell that take their heavy hitter down like pretty quickly. After several long skirmishes that result in the death of most of his monster and some human that came to help, our main character has a grim realization. The goblin that he was fighting actually belonged to another dungeon that is somewhere close by. This is very interesting because within the first clash between a dungeon lord and a regular dungeon, the later one actually came out on top. It took a lot of help as well as powerful gun to take down the forces that this dungeon sent out, and somehow they just keep coming, wave after wave. The first time Matt fight against a real dungeon, I would consider it as a total loss. Like, he has to retreat, he was beaten up. He did manage to get various weapon to help him fight better, and those weapons also have him take down the squad that was sent again after him. But yeah, that's still a loss. He couldn't push towards the other dungeon. Well, one thing is that he didn't know where the other dungeon is. He just knows that it is a dungeon. But yeah, him and his ally managed to hide their track and made it back to his dungeon. Like, the fact that Matt and his ally ran into a dungeon and was so far behind that if it wasn't for modern weapon to close the gap between them, they would have been completely destroyed, and that was just a skirmish and not a full frontal assault. As the other dungeon wasn't able to locate them, it's very new. Like, most of the time, the main character will just like fight their way to a wave of enemy and reach the dungeon and destroy it. This time, the dungeon was what managed to like push them off, even like almost kill Matt without even knowing it. He like it's just it's just like a squad of scout or like a warband that patrol the area. So Jez Cajiao made it very clear that his main character has almost zero knowledge about how a dungeon is supposed to work and what kind of upgrade he can make to improve his power and his monster. Like, sometimes, I don't know, some people will find this like irritating, like oh my god, the dungeon lord is so dumb, he didn't know what to do. But the way it was written is that, hey, he was doing everything kind of okay. He was managed to kill like powerful creature. So during the first book, when he first developing his dungeon, reader would not think that, hey, this guy is dumb or he doesn't know what he's doing. Like, he's doing the best he can. But by introducing a new dungeon, the author make it very clear that, hey, actually our main character don't know what the fuck he's doing, and maybe he needs to change or like need to learn more about how to run a dungeon properly. Which is why he picked like a perfect time to introduce the other dungeon to reader and how different they are to the one belong to our main character. it was still very early on, so Matt and his allies still had access to modern gun, which is the only way they can close the gap between the two dungeons and take down like various type of goblin. If this was introduced later on and Matt is still relatively clueless about how to run a dungeon, and they start to run low on ammo, the chance of them winning would be next to none. They were already struggling a lot with the guns, as the wide dungeon keep producing higher tier monster that pose serious threat to everyone, and they seem to have unlimited mana as wave after wave of monsters start attacking. All it takes is our main character and his squad to attack one of the um, goblin squad patrolling nearby, and the other one immediately know like, hey, one squad got taken down. Let's send like our forces to this direction and squash the threat. And uh, Jez Cajiao really did a great job designing enemies in this book. It's like a soul game where one mistake can result in you die instantly, or in this case, lose valuable monster and allies. But as Matt fighting them, he was also getting like valuable information or hint of how to get stronger and what is going on. It's a perfect from weak to strong story. The main character, despite having a powerful tool, still have to claw his way up from the bottom of the food chain, and he never get cocky about it. The moment he run into any type of threat, his first reaction will be, or his first action will be examining the enemy and find out information about them. Of course, the ability to find out most of the information about your enemy is extremely powerful. There's like a saying in my culture, you will win all the battle you fight as long as you understand your enemy. But in the world where there are so many powerful enemy lurking in the shadow, it's only fair that our main character has some advantage of his own. And a lot of time he was managed to learn about the enemy that he haven't even seen yet based on their minion and their servant. He clashed with the forces of a wide engine and immediately know he stand no chance of winning if they both bunker down and go into a cold war. And the other dungeon know what he's doing and Matt didn't, so he took a risk. The main character took out a squad, scout around and managed to locate the other dungeon. So he decided to just storm it with the limited force that he had and attack it when it was not expecting. He was managed to cut off the energy source, and he also found out like how the dungeon keep producing like wave after wave of like mid tier to like great tier unit, and the method that this dungeon was using is definitely very messed up. Like, I will not spoil like how the wide dungeon managed to get so much ahead of Matt and so much more troop than the one that Matt had, but it's really dark. So it took a lot of fighting, like a lot of wave of goblin getting slaughtered, and some lucky shot, some tactic that they use to lure out the one behind the dungeon and kill it, but they actually managed to conquer this dungeon. But as the theme of this book series goes, there will always be another type of enemies lurking in the dark and mysterious forces that are hungry for power. And unlike the previous enemy that are all like in their area and rarely go on the offense, this time the new enemy that Matt had to face, they come to his house and they start knocking. So the first two books will be about how Matt explore the local area for resources and bump into strange creature or forces that make him fight for his life. But by the end of the second book, our dungeon lord will be the one who have to defend his home. So we got some like tower defending action coming up. I'm halfway through the third book already, and this series just keep growing on me. I don't know if I can finish the series by the time the latest book got released. I think the 8th book. Nevertheless, I will read it sooner rather than later. I'm really enjoy doing these book reviews, although it's bring way fewer viewers for my channel. But as long as there's someone who is watching and maybe someone decided to pick up the series because of my video, it will make my day, and I will just continue on this journey. Thank you all for watching, and ace out.